Hey, what's up, you guys? This is John Chacon, and this will be your instructional video on the push-up, okay? This is probably one of the most underrated movements, and yet it's a movement that everybody seems to know how to do. I feel pretty good about my push-ups and how I teach them because it also has a strong tie to how we move as humans, okay? It's very rare for us to naturally push things from outside. We actually don't have a lot of leverage, and it puts more stress on the front of our shoulders and our pecs as well. I prefer to use larger muscles that are designed to take a bigger beating. Triceps and the upper back. And that's where I use my pressure for the push-ups. Now, if you cannot perform a full push-up on the ground per these instructions, I highly recommend you choose an elevated version. You can put a barbell inside of a squat rack. You can use the trunk of a car, you can use a desk, you can use a park bench. Just find a stable platform, perform the push-ups elevated as opposed to a knee push-up. Hey, if you don't have an elevated surface, knee push-ups are great in a pinch. I just don't recommend them because they put your wrist, elbow, and shoulder in what could be considered a vulnerable position. It's not gonna kill you, but long term, it's not gonna put you in that same angle of movement that a regular push-up would. In addition to that, with a knee push-up, you're not able to fully engage your glutes to stabilize your hips. It doesn't give you the same pattern, and you're not developing the push-up position truly when you're doing the knee push-up. So try it elevated, work your way down. I've used it with a lot of people that I've had the opportunity to train, and it works really well. So like all of our movements, we focus on the setup. Push-ups are probably one of those things that easily everyone's like, oh, I got it. They just put their hands and feet down, they just start going, right? I encourage you guys to take your time with this. It'll make your push-ups move a little bit. They'll work for you, okay? I'm not gonna say that it's gonna make them easy, but you'll set yourself up for success if you set yourself up right. Now, I have a pattern just like I do for all of my other movements, especially my barbell movements and my kettlebell movements. I'm gonna start with my hands. You want to have your hands about shoulder width apart. We can use that same trick that we used for the overhead press, where the arms are at your sides, shoulder blades back, rotate your palms towards your shoulders, rotate the palms out, okay? That's a good starting point. You don't want to go too far out, you don't want to be too far in. About shoulder width or just outside, because as we're doing our push-ups, we're going to keep our arms tight to our sides. Again, from the front, you're going to close that gap. You're not going to have a gap between that rib cage and your upper arm. So we're not going to be out here, back here, off to the sides. In nice and tight. So why do we do that? Because when we externally rotate our shoulder, we don't put any pressure here. When we're flared out, our shoulder's internally rotated, we put a lot on the front of the shoulder. I've actually run into people who have been very close to just getting surgery because they've done hundreds of thousands of push-ups in this position, okay? Avoid it. So, hands shoulder width apart. I'm gonna plant my palms flat on the ground. I'm gonna have my fingers spread out. Give me a nice wide base for my hand. While I keep my hand in place, my hand isn't moving, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screw my hands into the ground, but what I'm really doing is externally rotating my shoulder, okay? So hands don't move, they stay in place. Pay close attention. So, I'm gonna rotate my palms in, or my biceps forward, okay? When I do that, I'm gonna be engaging my upper back, specifically my lats. You should be able to feel those engage. Your upper back is gonna become part of the movement, okay? Once I have that set up, so I got my hands, shoulder width, palms flat, fingers straight ahead and spread out, biceps forward. I'm gonna go back 1 foot at a time. It is so important to set up your feet, okay? When you set up your feet, you create tension from your heels and it leads into your hips. The hips is probably that one part that I see over and over. People are allowing the hips to sag and it changes the angle of movement. And over time, it'll start to cause some issues, lower back issues, shoulder issues, those kind of things. Use your heels, your feet, your ankles, your legs to your advantage. Use everything you possibly can. Use your body as a unit. So, hands shoulder width, biceps forward, 1 foot at a time. I'm gonna drive that heel back so hard. I'm gonna bring my feet side by side, drive those heels back, create that tension, and I kind of created a spring from here. So I'm gonna load myself forward, come down, locked in like a machine. I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, lock those hips in place, got the biceps forward, taking my belly breath. As I lower myself, keep your forearms vertical, okay? Arms tight to the side until you're about 1 inch above the ground, come back up. Now, why do I keep the forearms vertical? Because when I keep this right angle, I can develop so much more tension and create more force for the movement. In other words, more stability. When I elbow is back like so, you're gonna put so much stress on that elbow, guys, and I guarantee you'll come back with some elbow problems. I'll show you what that looks like. You can set up everything else really well, but if you perform the push-up, you'll have to start with your shoulders a little further back. It'll look like this. That's a no bueno situation, okay? I do not recommend that. Keep the forearm vertical, keep that elbow tucked in tight. If you want to start working from the ground, another great thing you can do is use a tool like a medicine ball. A smaller medicine ball, you can stick it beneath your chest. That way you can move down to it, pause, come back up. That way you're still performing the push-up, you're just using a little bit less range of motion. Let's see. When I give you the cue to squeeze your glutes, this is another one that's very important that a lot of people overlook. They focus on squeezing their abs, but they don't worry about their other core, as I call it, which is their hips, which is where a lot of power development happens and where you can also lose a lot of stability if you're not paying attention. Your hips are very mobile. If you're not engaging them through your glutes, those hips will sag, they'll lose, okay? Couple things to look out for. Notice my head. I was looking at the camera, but this is a common one. I saw this a lot in the military. I've been taught this since I was in like 2nd grade PE. Do not look up, okay? This is a super common one, mostly because people want to see the instructor for whatever reason. I don't know, but avoid looking up. When you crank your neck, you actually leave yourself less range of motion with your shoulders, with your upper back, and it's the equivalent of walking around with a lot of weight, looking up at the ceiling, okay? I don't think it'd be too comfortable, and I don't think you would either. So, keep your head neutral with your spine. You'll be a lot better off. Now, common things that start to happen when people start getting fatigued. They start letting their chin drop and their hips sag. Don't let yourself get to that position. Why do so many push-ups to where the elbows are flaring, your head is bent forward, and your hips are sagging? There's no purpose to that. You're just ingraining poor movement patterns throughout your time. Okay, so quick recap. Set up the hands first, shoulder width, not outside shoulder width, not inside, not in front of your shoulders, not behind your shoulders, directly underneath them. Palms flat, fingers straight ahead and spread out. I wish I had a cool name like jazz hands or something for that, but fingers spread out. Screw your hands into the ground, biceps forward, engage your upper back. Drive 1 foot back at a time, driving those heels into the ground. Create that tension up your legs, squeeze your glutes. Take in your belly breath, lower yourself under control. Don't just drop. Forearms vertical, arms in tight, and press through. Keep your head neutral, don't look up. You guys didn't think the push-up there was so much to it, right? Well, don't think that there is too much, because over time, once you start ingraining this for a few weeks, you're gonna know exactly what to do. You won't even need to look at this video, and it'll be part of how you naturally get in a push-up. Then you can show everybody else around you how to do a push-up the right way for long term, okay? Doing it the way we did as kids, it's not gonna help for too long. Do it the right way now and on throughout the rest of your life. You'll thank yourself later, because you won't have shoulder problems, you won't have elbow problems, you'll have a much stronger upper back and upper arms as well, which will help put some meat on your arms if that's what you're looking for, okay? That's all I got for you guys today. This has been John Chacon with your push-up instructional video. Take care, stronger every day. Peace.